Oh yeah. Pay up, Rachel. You better cut that check. While you're at it, write one to all the audience members that paid to see your sloppy movie. Zegler was looking for a platform with Disney. As the star of this movie, she took it upon herself to focus more on the mission instead of the actual classic nature of this film. In fact, efforts from the start were made. For Disney, they flew in one of the producers personally to meet with Rachel to say, "Could you please take that down? We understand you have your political views, but those aren't really helpful right now. Maybe save them for your diary or your friends." But Rachel refused. She wasn't going for a remix on this film, she was creating a new podium to stand on. But this one ended up being a platform that no one wanted to hop on the bandwagon with, and especially one that no one wanted to spend money on. This is not what Disney needed. And speaking of platforms, let's zoom out for a moment. In 2018, Disney was the king of media, a global juggernaut. But that same year, something unexpected happened. Netflix overtook Disney in market value, clocking in at about $152 billion in stock market capitalization. Since then, you'd expect Disney to have caught back up, right? Wrong. Today, Netflix is valued at nearly $500 billion. That's 3 times more than Disney. Meanwhile, Disney's market value has barely budged. In fact, its share price has remained largely stagnant, propped up only by a larger number of shares on the market. The once dominant Mouse House is starting to look like a legacy brand that's stuck. The question now isn't just, can Disney bounce back from a single flop? Raise your hand if you think yes. Okay, but the real question is, can Disney keep up in a media world that's changing faster than ever? Because it's not just the movies. Theme parks, once Disney's cash cow, are feeling the pressure too. McDonald's just reported its worst same-store sales since the COVID-19 lockdown, signaling that everyday consumers are tightening their wallets. And if people are skipping out on McNuggets, are they really going to drop thousands of dollars on Disney vacations that cost as much as a semester of college tuition? Then there's streaming. When Disney Plus launched in 2019, it made waves, $6.99 per month, no ads. It was a dream, like how Star Wars fans dreamed about The Acolyte. Oh wait, that was a nightmare. Sorry, Star Wars. But flash forward back to the present day, and it's now $9.99 with ads for Disney Plus, or the so-called upgrade for $16.99 ad-free. Meanwhile, Disney Plus ranks 3rd in their count of subscribers, trailing behind Netflix and Amazon Prime Video, the latter of which is just a bonus feature for shoppers. So what exactly does all of this add up to? Are people watching and streaming, or is the Disney Plus subscriber base dormant? From recent results on their releases, things are not looking good. Overall, this adds up to a Disney that's caught in a terrible storm. For one, there are skyrocketing production costs. 2, there is very stiff competition from Netflix and Amazon. But this isn't just about one movie. This isn't just about the failure of Snow White and the massive chunk of money lost. This is already a snowball that has been rolling down the hill for quite some time. Disney is a rolling pile of, you know what? Alright, so now the question everyone's asking, what the heck happens next? Because this isn't just a Hollywood train wreck anymore. This is a full-blown war over money, reputation. So who takes the fall for one of the most expensive box office flops in Disney history? And someone's gotta pay up. Right now, Rachel Zegler is the one caught in the crossfire and possibly on the hook for $120 million. You heard that right, $120 million. That's not just, oops, my bad, I'll get you back later on that money. That's life-changing, career-ending, legacy-burning money. It's literally enough to bankrupt a small studio. But here's the real kicker. When it comes down to it, despite her massive influence on the film itself, Rachel didn't greenlight this script. She also didn't approve of the CGI dwarfs. She didn't choose to erase a love story from one of the most iconic fairy tales of all time. Those calls came from the big suits at Disney, the execs who, let's be completely honest, haven't had a solid hit in years. And now, they're ghosting, silent, watching as their former star gets torn apart by the internet like she's the wicked queen. Where's Bob Iger? Where's the Disney PR machine that usually swoops in to do damage control? Hello? Yup, crickets. Meanwhile, Snow White merchandise is clogging store shelves. No one wants to pay for that, and it certainly doesn't make a great early Christmas gift. Theaters in many areas, not only domestically but also on an international level, are cutting screenings. And fans, oh, the fans, are still furious. Well, if there are any fans at this point, I am starting to think everyone is just mad and running to Disney headquarters with their pitchforks. This wasn't just a bad movie. It was an attack on nostalgia, a betrayal of everything that made Disney magical in the first place. So let's be real. This isn't just about Rachel anymore. This is all about accountability. Who signed off on a $270 million production budget? Who cast an actress that openly mocked the original film? And why in the world was she not fired after the first incident that broke the internet? That was a clear sign to make a pivot. Who thought replacing iconic dwarfs with random background characters was a good idea? That does not seem like a good idea. era. Who thought promoting the movie with smug interviews and Twitter hot takes would work? The Twitter hot takes especially, those were a freaking disaster. It's good to trend on Twitter, but not the way that this unnecessary Snow White remake did. We deserve answers. And Disney, you owe fans more than a half-hearted streaming release and radio silence. You owe us transparency. You owe us accountability, and maybe you owe us our money back. Because here's the thing, when fans feel disrespected, they remember, and they unite. The backlash to this film isn't just about race, gender, or politics. It's about a company that took a crown jewel and smashed it in the name of clout chasing. It's about a studio that forgot its audience while trying to win internet points. Fans aren't backing down. There are already petitions circulating demanding Disney cancel all future live-action reboots until they prove they understand the source material. Merch boycott campaigns are trending. Reddit forums are dissecting every production flaw. YouTube creators are dropping full exposés. People are mad, and rightfully so. And you know what? Maybe that's the only way things will change. Because if Disney thinks it can sweep this $120 million disaster under the rug, blame a 22-year-old actress, and move on to the next reboot without consequences, they've got another thing coming. But then again, here at Prime Interest, we do understand that it is important to look at both sides. Should Rachel pay? We certainly think so, at least a portion or a slice of the pie. But what are your thoughts? The magic is clearly gone. People either want a refund to this movie or Rachel kicked out of Hollywood. Speaking of Hollywood, let us look at the business side of things. After all, especially with Zegler's impact, this is a business and the money is in the interest of making money. So is this the beginning of the end for movie theaters as we know them, or just the final straw for an industry that's been bleeding for years? The fall of Snow White 2025 isn't just a PR disaster. It's a financial implosion, and the ripple effects may change Hollywood forever. What should have been a $1 billion legacy reboot has instead become a smoldering case study in mismanagement, hubris, and disconnect from the core movie-going audience. And standing at the center of it all, Rachel Zegler, once a breakout darling, now a name that sends shareholders into crisis mode. The box office receipts don't lie. After 6 weeks in theaters, Snow White has limped to just under $200 million globally. That sounds like a lot, until you consider that Disney spent upwards of $270 million on production alone, and that doesn't include marketing, reshoots, or the sunk costs of abandoned merchandise deals and cross-promotions. According to industry analysts, Disney needed the film to cross at least $500 million just to break even. It won't. In fact, it won't even come close, and the studio knows it. This is a business failure of epic proportions, and for investors watching closely, it's a betrayal. When Disney sinks 9 figures into a legacy property, they're not just making art, they're making promises. Promises of ROI, promises of franchise viability, promises of merchandise, streaming, and box office synergy. But Snow White didn't deliver on any of those. In fact, it burned bridges across all of them. What happens when a major corporation drops $270 million? And the movie becomes a cultural punchline before it even hits screens? They cut the cord, they cancel future projects, they rethink entire strategies. Disney has already shelved the live-action Tangled remake, quietly yanked from pre-production after Snow White's collapse. Executives are reportedly reconsidering the whole woke reboot formula. Internal documents leaked online suggest a full brand audit is underway at Disney, with specific language around re-centering legacy storytelling and aligning with multi-generational expectations. Translation: they're scared, not just of the internet's wrath, but of their shareholders. And let's talk about theaters. If tentpole movies like Snow White, the supposed event films, can't even cross $300 million, what happens to the future of the cinematic experience? AMC, Regal, Cinemark, they rely on these releases, not indie dramas, not niche horror, but big, mass-market, studio-backed blockbusters. If Disney can't deliver those anymore, are we witnessing the slow-motion death of the modern cinema model? The streaming wars haven't helped, and let's be honest, these streaming wars will not end soon. The streaming era has completely changed the game. In fact, especially for other platforms looking from the outside, Disney serves as a case study of what not to do. Disney Plus charges up to $16.99 a month with no ads, more expensive than Netflix was 5 years ago. 5 freaking years ago. This is crazy, and yet their subscriber base is now slipping behind Amazon and Netflix. And why? Because when the crown jewel IPs flop at the box office, the magic doesn't carry over to streaming either. If you kill the brand at the theater, don't expect it to resurrect online. Then there's Zegler. Her name is now radioactive. Studios don't like variables. They hate unpredictability. And Zegler, with her viral interviews, political opinions, and scorched earth PR trail, has become the ultimate liability. She was supposed to be Disney's next princess. Instead, she's now the cautionary tale studios will whisper about in closed-door casting meetings. Remember what happened to Snow White? So, we ask again, is this the start of something bigger? A crack in the foundation of modern entertainment? Is this just about Zegler, or about a film industry that forgot how to respect its audience? But our losing thoughts here look deeply at the current internet generations. For Rachel Zegler generation grew up being told that every opinion they have is worth posting online, that they're the center of the universe, and that everyone has to change to accommodate their personal truth. That mindset is clearly something executives should have easily detected early on and began their damage control sooner. Right now, and cue the clip from The Dark Knight, Rachel Zegler is the Joker sliding down that burning pile of cash, and that pile of cash is probably the biggest Disney has seen in recent years.